investing do you want to do? Do you want to be a real estate investor? You want to be long term? You want to flip? Do you want to be a stock trader? Do you want to be a long term investor? A value investor, a growth investor, which can be misnomers as well. But find one person. Don't get 10. Find one, and then learn from them. If I wanted to be an amazing free kick taker in football, I would go and study Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi. I'm not studying 10 of them because everybody has their own little way of kicking the ball. Study one, become really good at that. So find your role model first, and then you're going to get the recipe. And you can get that recipe by seeing all the interviews they've done. You can read books they have written. You can read books about them. Those recipes are there. It's surprising, but they're there staring in front of us. And most people just don't want to read and do that work, or they're reading too much and they can't pick one of those recipes. So it's getting messed up. So once you get that role model, though, start. Don't think that you have to have $1,000 or $10,000 to start. You need to build good habits, right? Whatever you do becomes a habit. So if it's bad or if it's good, it's still a habit. Practice makes perfect. You can perfect the wrong thing. So what you want is diligent practice. So I now have the recipe. Let me start investing. If it's $10 a month, $10 a week, start investing and automate it. Right? I don't care if you start with an ETF that's tracking the S&P 500. You started. You're getting paid. You need to be generating income, so make sure you're generating income. So your paycheck comes in every 2 weeks or every month. 10% just automatically goes into that fund and gets invested. If you have a 401k or some pension savings thing and you have a match by a company, max out that match, man. That's free money. Take it. Let it automate itself and live on what's left. And that's going to develop a really good habit. And then you can start stepping up to the bigger leagues after that. But don't think that you need 10 grand to start. Start going from now. Find a role model, get that recipe, and then automate it.
Okay. So now I find this mentor, right? This role model. But like, where do I go to start like purchasing? Is it with my bank? Is it with a specific person, like, or company? Where do I start? The website?
So of course it depends on which country you're in. Yeah, I'm in the US, so I actually recommend everybody go to Charles Schwab. You can use Robinhood, Vanguard. You can open these accounts really easily. In Canada, you have the Royal Bank of Canada. RBC does that. Scotiabank does that. Obviously, I'm going to plug Mike's. Mandeville Private Client is a great place for you to go and start. I think they offer a lot of options for people, and open your portfolio there. And start. And it's not that you need to understand every single thing you're buying, but you can start by doing what I do with my kids. I had my children look around the house. I was like, guys, what do you see in this house that we are always spending money on? And the kids started looking and I said, oh man, all these Amazon boxes keep coming here. We should buy Amazon. I was like, okay, great. And you can do fractional ownership, right? I don't have $2,000 to buy Amazon. So they said we should buy Amazon. I was like, what else? And I said, oh, well, we all have iPads and iMacs and iPhones, so we should buy some Apple stock, Daddy. I said, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, Mommy has a Surface. We should buy Microsoft. And you have a Microsoft Xbox. We should buy Microsoft. Okay, that makes sense. But what do you watch every night? Oh, we watch Disney Plus and we watch Netflix, and we live by Disney. We live 10 minutes from Disney, so we have annual passes. So the kids said we should buy Netflix and we should buy Disney. That's a great way for a child to build a portfolio. That's one hell of a portfolio. I will give them that. But they started by looking at what do we do? And then they said, hey, we got to Target and shop all the time. We got to Walmart and buy groceries. Daddy, we should buy those. You can start in those simple ways. If you are spending money all the time with certain brands, you know what? You should be getting a dividend, man. Get back some of your money.
Well, 100%.
Nothing wrong with that.
100%. Yeah. So now I see you want to invest in Amazon, right? And you said I go to Michael Leachin's company, right? And he sits me down. I guess what I would do is sign up for a type of account.
You sign up for a brokerage account, right? You'd ask for an investment brokerage account. You then put some money in there to start. Every firm has a different minimum for you to open, but you open, say, with $100, right? Charles Schwab is easy to open. You open with $100, and then they're most likely going to put you into an exchange traded fund that gives you exposure to those. So they might say, you know what, you're young, you have a long time to wait. And you have high risk tolerance, right? You're 20 years old. We're going to put you into this high growth ETF that covers technology, because that's where stuff is booming. Or, you know what, man, you're 50 years old, so we need to put you into a bond fund that's going to be paying dividends and structure it that way instead, because you need income versus growing that wealth. So it depends on your age and your risk profile and what your goals are, right? You need to decide what your goals are. Your goal could be wealth creation for generations. That's one. That's thinking very long term. Or it could be, I just want to save up enough money to go on vacation, and so I'm going to invest that. Or you want to save up enough to go and buy a house, so you're going to invest some and let it grow. Not everybody's investing to retire at 65 or 55 or whatever. So you get to be you. That's a really cool thing about it. You just maybe you're saving up to go and start a business, so you want to invest some money and then grow it to then go and have that first nugget to start the business, because odds are you're not going to get money from an investor for the startup at the first phase. So know what you want to do, right? Plan ahead. And I'm the person that says think 5 years ahead, and then envision yourself there. Like picture yourself there. What would it take for me to get there? And you don't start from now to jump in there. In 5 years, I am doing this, this, and this. I own this. I'm helping X amount of people. Well, what got me to that right before? What was a step right before that? And then what was a step before that one? So if you want to be a doctor, you would ask a doctor, how did you become a doctor? Well, the doctor had to go and actually be an intern, right? So they had to go and do rounds. Well, great, you had to be a resident. And before that, you had to actually go to medical school. But before you went to medical school, you had to do undergrad, and you had to do biology, organic chemistry. And before that, it means you had to do that stuff in high school. You had to care about science. The rules are there, right? The steps are there. It's like a game, but we tend not to think about that on the investing side. The steps are there, but we don't add that to it. And we do it when you talk about sports as well. If you want to become a professional hockey player, a professional football player, you know exactly the steps that are required. For some reason, we don't apply that to business or investing, which is surprising, but I guess that's just the way most of us are raised. You really would need parents or a household that says, hey, here are some steps, or here's a book, right? Here is Think and Grow Rich. Go ahead and read that book by Napoleon Hill, right? Or here's Rich Dad Poor Dad. Go ahead and read that. Or I prefer Cash Flow Quadrant to Rich Dad Poor Dad. But somebody puts that book in their hand and it changes their life. Yeah. That's usually what happens.
Yeah, most definitely. That changed my life. You know, I literally read that book about 2 years ago, and I started like buying it for my family, because I was like, you don't know what to do, you know, because I realized that like at age 25, that is like the pivot in your life that could really change your trajectory of your life, you know.
Love it.
Whereas if you don't read that, you can literally go down on a whole other path, you know.
That's for me with Think and Grow Rich. I read that in high school, and that's when my whole life changed. I think my mentality shifted, where I started my first business in high school, and I was killing it right off the gate. And it was just because of Think and Grow Rich, having faith, desire, and persistence, all those principles. I've read Think and Grow Rich 100 times. I still read it to the day. I bought it from a month ago. Because you read like a chapter and you just learn something new. Like for me, faith, every time I read the chapter on faith, I get some new nugget out of it. It's crazy. It's timeless.
And when you get older, some of this stuff that sort of went over your head makes so much sense. So it's like, wow, I didn't get this from this chapter when I was 20 years old. I'm 39 now. Wow, this means something different now. So books, as you can tell, I read a whole lot. Like I'm reading a book every 2 weeks. I'm not a book a week person, I'll be honest. And the reason that is because I reread the books. I reread chapters to make sure I absorb the information. But those books are critical. But especially reading biographies about what people went through, watching them as well, and see what they did. If you watch the series Men Who Built America, these guys didn't have it easy. Like they had to go through hell at times to get there. So when you read King of Capital about Steve Schwarzman and how they built Blackstone, there are parts where you almost want to cry. You know, Losing My Virginity by Richard Branson. I tell everybody, go read that one.
That was a great book.
Don't complain.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, guys, we'll have show notes link below that'll have the links to some books you can read.
Yeah. So, you know, like we dug into like your tweets, you know, you're a big Twitter guy. And, you know, one of the things you said, you know, wearing old.
Thank you for watching that video. To see the next video, click right over here. And to subscribe, click right over here.
Peace.